Yeah, you were definitely part of the most horrific accident, I think, in NHL history. I mean, I wasn't going to really touch on that, but if you don't mind, yeah, I didn't know if you'd mind talking about it at all.
It's my claim to fame. I wasn't a very good goalie, but everybody remembers me.
You were a great goalie, man. That incident might not have helped your career, but I mean,
No, it did.
Yeah.
I was just a little kid, and I remember we were watching that live, and it was definitely scary. Would you say, how do you deal with something like that just straight after the incident?
I didn't. That's the thing. It happened so long ago. We didn't. You know, Richard Zednick cut his jugular vein.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was in 2008 or something.
Yeah. And that I heard that he had counseling and anybody on the team, trainers, coaches, family members. It was when that happened to me. Nothing was. My counseling was our medical trainer Jim Pizzatelli, who went out and stood in front of the net in our street clothes, and this is right fresh after I was trying to come back, and he goes, "Well, this is where it happened." I said, "Yep," and we went boom, the way we went. And that was the extent of it, but it really came to bite me in the butt. The next year, I started to have just horrific nightmares, waking up, sweating, and grabbing my neck. And again, I couldn't sleep, and my play was starting to decline.
Obviously, reading your book and stuff, your biggest worry, obviously, is you didn't want to see your mom, obviously, see that incident, and she was watching the game, correct?
Yeah, she saw it. She was watching on TV, and everybody goes, "Wow, you courageous! You got up and skated off the ice." I'm like, no. I thought I was dying, and I didn't want Mom to see me die on national or on TV.
Yeah. Everybody nowadays has a bit of mental health issues. What would you say was your way to talk about it?
Well, the book certainly got that opened up. You know, as you know, I think you one of you said you read the book. Both of you, maybe.
Yep.
Okay. Very, very honest read. I mean, I was raw, no bolt, and I told everything, and that opened up a lot of doors for me with the public speaking. But it also opened up a lot of doors for me now. With what I'm doing, I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Pavlich and his story right now. He's kind of in a lockdown mental hospital. Played with the Rangers. He was part of Miracle when they won the gold. And Barry Beck kind of started this idea, and Mark's sister. And we are going to start this. Well, it's going to be a facility. It is called the Ranch. And we're going to have horse therapy. It's going to be, hopefully my vision is cabins and bunkers for players that do struggle, or former players that are struggling, and military with PTSD and all these addiction issues. And as you mentioned, with what's going on in our world right now, I think there's going to be a lot, there already has been a spike in, I don't want to say mental illness all the time, but emotional sickness, people losing their jobs and maybe going through depression, anxiety, and all these things that maybe they never experienced in their life. Of course, I grew up with all those things, so I get it.
Also concussions too. Like that's a whole new thing that nobody gave a shit about 10 years ago. And now that really affects. I personally have had 5 concussions, and every one of them have ruined me a little bit. Like I forget things, and I hit my head so hard in Mexico that I've never been the same. I leave the bathroom light on every time now. Like there's little tiny things that until I talk about it and until I get to tell people, they don't notice these kind of things that I've noticed about myself since then.
Well, and we're really the NHL and that they got the concussion spotters. When a guy gets hit on the ice, they might say he's got to come out and go to the quiet room, they call it. And teams do what they do, a baseline in training camp. It's on a computer, and it's a cognitive type reading for knowing where they are. And so if they got a concussion, they can look at that. They do the baseline test again, and they can tell if the player's, off or concussed. And so they're doing a lot about that. But, we've had some suicides and some with the what they call CTE. Don't ask the formal words, but
I don't know either.
They're big and long, and basically, it causes depression, causes anxiety, and some of our players, former players, have died by suicide because of that. I know a couple guys personally that have had their brains donated and comes back, yes, he had CTE, because the only way they can diagnose it is after you're dead.
Yeah, and I definitely fell and hit my head so hard in Mexico one time that I blacked out and I was flopping around like a fish on the water, out of water, having a seizure, and that one just ruined me. I've never actually fully recovered. I still think about it today, how I leave the lights on, I leave the cupboard doors open by accident. There's little things that you notice that really affect you, and concussions are a real thing, and nowadays people are starting to realize it, but you play with these guys in the 80s and the 90s that if they took a beating, they got told to get back out on the ice.
Well, we never used the word concussion, or it was you got your bell rung, take a shift off, or go in the locker room for a few minutes and then come back. There was no protocol or anything, and it was just you got your bell rung.
Do you like the protocol nowadays?
Yeah, I think it's needed for sure. I don't know if it's the best protocol. There might be other alternatives. I don't know, but what they're doing is good. They're protecting players, and now we're seeing so many players that are out for extended time with concussions, and it's they can't stand the bright lights or all these symptoms, and players are out for months sometimes.
Yes, definitely. I was 6 months on mine, and I hated everybody around me. I didn't want to see any light. I didn't want to talk to anybody. It bothered me a lot.
Which sounds like you had, there's symptoms from a concussion, but that's very similar to what a lot of our military and hockey and football, whatever, PTSD type symptoms.
Yes, I definitely feel like I had that kind of thing. It's scary for me because I had never had a concussion before that I know of. And this time I really hit my head so hard. And you notice it now 4 years later that certain things have changed. Like even just texting on a text phone, I'm missing the letters. I'm missing the letters.
I'm the same way, and I'm very forgetful. I've had several concussions. I don't even know how many. I counted my broken noses, not my concussions, and I had 10 broken noses. So
I broke my beak a couple times too.
They don't grow like that.
No. Fucking this guy's making nose jokes over here.
We're not born this way. I mean, no. I can turn mine right upside down. There's no cartilage. Yeah, there's cartilage, but it's all mush, I guess. I don't know.
It's nice these days, at least with the mental health and that kind of stuff, that there's actually people to talk to. And, Bell Let's Talk. It's a big thing in hockey right now. And it's great that there's people actually stepping up to the plate to help players so we don't lose anymore. Because, obviously ours in Vancouver, our biggest loss so far was Rick Rippon. And to this day,
I love that
guy, pound for pound, that's tougher than that guy.
I love that kid. He was a courageous warrior when he played, and just a good guy. And that one really hit me hard because he's kind of a cowboy kid, southern Alberta, down by Pincher Creek. And I talked with his mother after he passed, and it's a terrible thing, suicide, and it doesn't just affect the person that's dying or dead, but affects the whole family. But the thing is, I can speak for myself and probably a lot of suicide survivors that I've talked to. We don't really want to die. We want to kill the pain. And that's what I was trying to do. And when I put that gun under my chin and shot it, I didn't leave a note. Yes, I had suicidal thoughts. I didn't leave a note. It was such a random act. And I was drinking, self-medicating as well, which a lot of people, there's a huge correlation between mental illness and addiction.
Definitely. You say alcohol. A lot of people say marijuana is the gateway drug and stuff, but I feel that alcohol is worse.
Well, I'm kind of in that field now. And so I know a lot of PTSD military guys and first responders. They use marijuana. It helps them sleep. It's now legal. And I used to think it was a gateway drug too for maybe, cocaine or hard, meth or something. But I know a lot of people that used it for a long time as a medicinal. And I guess I guess it should be treated like any other medicine, really. And where alcohol is also a substance that, I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I know all about that numbing effect with my PTSD and the nightmare. I mean, I used it. It wasn't like I was partying either. I was drinking at home, trying to get through a day.
For you to persevere through that is pretty awesome, because I would call myself an alcoholic, and I drink to get away from pain also.
Right. And some people use marijuana and I guess alcohol because they got chronic physical pain. I know some military guys that they're veterans, and they've got some major physical medical issues, and they need something to get through a day with numb the pain.